Well, hello and welcome to Uncommon Knowledge for Seniors. I'm your host, Jim Moran, a realtor and banking executive with over 35 years of experience. This podcast is your go-to resource for navigating the complex world of real estate and senior living transitions. Each week, we'll dive into topics and resources that matter the most to you, from retirement communities, real estate planning, reverse mortgages, trusts, memory care, elder abuse, and more. And whether you're a senior, a family member, caregiver, or real estate professional, we're here to provide you with the most valuable insights and practical, trustworthy advice from some of the best experts in the business. Thank you for joining us, and let's get started. Well, hi, and welcome to another episode of Uncommon Knowledge for Seniors. Today we have Christina Riddock. She's the ALS Care Services Director for Central Oregon. And ALS, as you know, is perhaps better known as Lou Gehrig's disease, but we're pleased to have her today. She's going to tell us everything she can about ALS. And I wanted to start off with Christina. Number one, thank you for being here. But how did you get involved in ALS? How did this start for you?
First, Jim, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So I became involved with ALS Northwest back in 2018. This job became available, and my brother-in-law, Ryan, was diagnosed with ALS back in 2013. He was 35 at the time when he was diagnosed. So my whole family, my husband's family, and I really educated ourselves about ALS. And learned a lot so that we could, support Ryan and be there for him. So this job just seemed like a really good opportunity for me to learn or to use what I learned to help Ryan so that I could help other people living with ALS.
Well, thanks for doing that. I'm sure your brother-in-law really appreciates it too. And it's like we talked about before, this is such a mystery. There's no cause, right? And there's no cure. And it just is a neurological disease. It just happens. But is there any more research being done on that, or any more revelations or thoughts about that?
Well, first of all, just to explain what ALS is, ALS stands for Amyotrophic Lateral Sclerosis, which in Greek means, or translated to English from Greek, is no muscle nourishment. So as you said, it's commonly referred to as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's 100% fatal. Average lifespan after someone is diagnosed is 2 to 5 years, although some people live longer. Some people pass much sooner. And it is a neurodegenerative progressive disease. It's a type of motor neuron disease that impacts the nerve cells in the brain and the spinal cord. In ALS, when the motor neurons die, it causes, they stop sending messages to the muscles that control voluntary muscle movement throughout the body. This causes muscle weakness and atrophy, and it causes people with ALS eventually lose the ability to move, walk, talk, eat, and then ultimately breathe. And it doesn't look the same from person to person. It's not heterogeneous. It affects everyone differently. But some of the most common symptoms include muscle atrophy, so just the wasting of muscles, mobility changes, like an inability to grab things, to hold things, to lift your arms or move, muscle cramping and fasciculations, just twitching of the muscles, speech changes, because ALS does affect the bulbar muscles in the brain. So weakening of the tongue, swallowing changes, ability to speak, and respiratory changes. It causes weakness in the diaphragm, which is ultimately what is the cause of death for people with ALS.
It's different degrees for different people, right? Is that it? Just it gets more and more intense?
Yeah, it's just there's no. It's hard to predict what's going to come next with ALS. It's very perplexing, and everyone has a different journey with it. 5 to 10% of cases are familial, meaning they run in the family, but most cases, 90% of cases, are sporadic, meaning they don't know how it was caused. And there's been lots of theories. Some studies have shown that very physical people, athletes like football players or soccer players, have a higher propensity to ALS. Military veterans are twice as likely to get ALS. But there's been no definitive research that has shown what causes ALS.
So how can you guys help people? What kind of services, or what can you, I guess the other question is what can be done with ALS?
So ALS Northwest, we used to be known as ALS, the ALS Association Oregon and Southwest Washington chapter. Now we're ALS Northwest, and we're a nonprofit organization that supports around 600 people living in Oregon and Southwest Washington who are living with ALS. And our mission is to provide comprehensive support and advocacy for people with ALS and their families, while also advancing research for new treatments and an end to ALS. And it's the goal of ALS Northwest to enhance the quality of life of people living with ALS as well as their families through the many free programs that we offer to individuals and their families. And our programs are designed to meet the needs, essential care needs of all, and emotional needs of all of our community partners.
So how do they find you with this? I mean, how does someone who is it typically through a doctor or
Yeah, usually I'll get a referral from a diagnosing neurologist in town or in Portland. A lot of people go to Portland to get diagnosed, and they'll reach out to me, or sometimes someone will get diagnosed elsewhere in a different state and just find our website, which is alsnorthwest.org, and reach out to me. And then usually from that point, I'll set up a home visit and come out and meet the person who is diagnosed and meet them and their family, get to know them on a personal level, help answer any questions they might have, help set them up with any resources that they might need so that they are able to live their best quality of life. And I stay in touch with them throughout their whole disease progression. And I work very closely with the providers at the ALS Multidisciplinary Clinic that we have here in Bend at St. Charles, with partnership in partnership with Pacific Crest Neurology and Partners in Care. And then I also facilitate a couple different support groups. So yeah, I'm just here to support the person who's diagnosed as well as their family and caregivers.
So being a nonprofit, are you funded through grants and things like that, or is it just, how does that work?
Yeah, we do have a few grants, but most of our funding comes from fundraising events. So we have the Walk ALS event that's coming up in April. It's always a lot of fun and well attended. We also have our Ski ALS event that's coming up March 8th at Mount Hood Meadows. And I'll be there for that. So that draws out a lot of people. And we rely on donations, fundraising donations, and we have a couple grants. But
do you have an example of someone that you're working with that you can tell us about that's progressing through this and what their journey looks like?
Yeah, I have a gentleman right now. I won't say his name, but he came to me. He had been living with Parkinson's disease for 10 years, and I've never had an instance like this, but he had been living with Parkinson's for 10 years and then was diagnosed just this last year. Actually, it's been a year, with ALS. And Parkinson's, has a much longer, survival rate, compared to ALS. And with Parkinson's, you're encouraged to exercise a lot and stay in really good shape. But with ALS, exercise can be dangerous, especially very vigorous exercise, and you have to be very, very careful. And so he's really struggling with, he's a very active person, always has been. Now he's been having to move and not do all the activities he's loved doing his whole life. and now it's more sedentary, and he's having more weakness in his hands, so he's not able to type on his keyboard anymore at home. It's getting harder for him to speak clearly. He's not as hungry as he used to be. He has a loss of appetite, and he also gets just really tired, very limited energy.
How old is
He is 72. The average age of diagnosis with ALS is between 40 and 70. But like my brother-in-law who was diagnosed, he was only 35. And there are cases of younger people even that are diagnosed, although it's much more rare.
Oh man, wow. So besides money, what kinds of things can people do to can they get involved with you or get involved with the organization, or is a whole system?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to donate money. You can volunteer. We have a new volunteer program that's actually funded through a grant. Our volunteer coordinator is Annie Tier, and she can help people get set up with someone who has ALS. And you can volunteer by doing housework or yard work, helping them, in non-medical ways. Or if you're a person who has cared for someone with ALS who has passed, you can be a caregiver, mentor to someone else, help guide them along their journey. So, yeah, there are other ways. And just spreading awareness, being an advocate is so helpful. So like you having me on this program is so important because people can learn more about ALS and what they can do, just be more aware of it.
Well, it seems like it's a tough thing whether you have a lot of family around you or not, right? I mean, in terms of what support and all that kind of thing, that can certainly go either way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a devastating disease. It's very expensive. Aside from equipment, and there's three different treatments available, medications, but they can be expensive. But aside from that and the equipment that you have to purchase, there's always a need for caregiving help, in-home help. So having someone help you around the house, and that's always out of pocket. That Medicare doesn't cover that, and that can be anywhere from $20 to $50 an hour, depending on what you need. So it can really be a very, very expensive disease. So having more family and friends that can help is definitely better, but that's not always possible.
So is there medications that can ease the symptoms? Is that what it does basically, or mask?
Yeah, right now there are three different medications. The one that's been around the longest is called Riluzole. That's been around since like 1985, I believe, and it can slow the progression and add a few months to your life. The other medication is called Radicava, and that can also help extend life by a couple months. When taking Riluzole and Radicava together, it can help extend life by as much as 6 months. And then the newest treatment that just came out is called Qalsody or Tofersen, and that's for individuals who have the familial form of ALS. So they have an SOD1 mutation, which is a specific gene. And that's a treatment that is injected in the spine. So it's hard to administer, but it is showing promise for those who have the familial form of ALS.
I guess there's some 30,000 people in the country, I guess, have it.
Yeah, approximately 30,000 people at any given time, and then in the world, it's estimated to be about 350,000 people with ALS.
Wow. Well, bless your heart for doing that. It's just a tough job. I can tell, and but you certainly got the reason. I guess is probably the best thing, and supporting a family member like that's got to be great.
Yeah, all the people I work with and support, I really develop a strong relationship with all of them, and I care about them all, and I feel like it's a privilege to be a part of their lives. So it's rewarding.
Cool. Well, what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you? I'll have all your information in the show notes as we go. But is there a email, website? What's
Yeah.
this way?
Yeah. Our website is alsnorthwest.org. My contact information is on there. I'm the care services coordinator here for Central Oregon, and I serve 6 counties. But we have care coordinators all over the state of Oregon and 6 counties in Southwest Washington. You can also get a hold of me by phone, 541-977-7502. Or, of course, my email, which is Christina.Riddock, Riddock, @alsnorthwest.org.
Great. Well, thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Jim.
I always felt that caregivers need to be the highest paid profession there is.
For sure.
Yeah,
There's such a shortage. So,
Yeah.
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 Well, thank you. Thank you for educating people, helping educate people on such an important topic.
Thanks for
Appreciate
that.
it.
And we'll keep doing what we can to help.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Uncommon Knowledge for Seniors. I hope you found the information valuable and inspiring. And if you have topics or circumstances you'd like us to address, please let us know. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and visit our website, or at www.uncommonknowledgeforseniors.com for more resources and to schedule a confidential consultation. And until next time, I'm Jim Moran, reminding you to embrace your next chapter with confidence and clarity. Take care.